Welcome to the Unstall Your Practice digital radio experience for equine veterinary practices and their teams. I'm Cynthia Bain, Practice Growth Specialist for Business Infusion Software, expert in equine practice solutions. I'm literally married to the profession and share the purpose of overcoming obstacles to practice growth and making the equine veterinary profession a profitable, sustainable, and fun experience for you. Join me and my guests as we tackle your toughest challenges head on and learn about better, more effective ways to get the job done and get you on your way to unbridled growth and a winner's circle future. So saddle up because those future wins start right here, right now. Welcome back to another episode of Unstall Your Practice. I'm Cynthia Bain, your host, and I'm so glad to be here. I've been away out of the studio attending the TIVA convention just a few short weeks ago, recording other episodes, and I'm so excited to be back in the studio, have a wonderful guest, long-standing face in the equine community, and I cannot wait to share her story and her contributions with you here today. So I'm not going to waste any time. Let's hear her story. My guest today recently relocated to the hill country of Texas, Wimberley to be exact. And while being back in Texas, she expresses that she really misses the beach and her family ranch near Yosemite. She was raised on a working cattle ranch in the San Joaquin Valley in California, and she's ridden horses her entire life. She attended the University of Colorado for 3 years and finished at San Diego State, receiving her bachelor's degree. She then became a flight attendant for Continental Airlines for the next 10 years, which she states is the best client service training ever. She found her second career, that of being a veterinary technician, after having her thoroughbred racehorse die of colic. Such a sad tragedy. She graduated from Cedar Valley College with honors in 1985 and took her state and national boards, receiving her RVT designation that same year. She became very involved in the veterinary technician profession in Texas and served as president of the association for 3 terms and worked to get the RVT acknowledged in the Texas Practice Act. As a technician, her love was rehabilitation work with horses, equine anesthesia, and working the ICU with foals. She worked mainly in large equine referral hospitals in the Dallas area, spent a year working in research at Scottish Rite Hospital, and was invited back to her alma mater, CVC, to become full-time VT instructor for the next 2 years. She then accepted a position as area manager with National Pet Care, overseeing 12 hospitals across the United States. In that position, she learned how much was lacking on the management training and support side of the equine practice and started her own consulting company in 2001. She has spent the last 15 years working in practice management and consulting for equine practices as well as in the industry. She founded the American Association of Equine Veterinary Technicians in 2002, which you and I know to be the AAEVT. She served as the president for 3 years. She was then the executive director until she retired from that position in 2023. One of the highlights was she was honored by her equine veterinary industry peers with the Deb Reeder Innovation Award, which will be awarded each year to a deserving individual. Wow. She then published, in conjunction with the association, the AAEVT Equine Manual for Veterinary Technicians, the second edition, 2022. She also formed the Academy, AEVNT, Specialty in Equine Veterinary Nursing, which she helped to organize, and the Society for Equine Veterinary Anesthesia. She currently oversees the AAEVT Online Equine Certificate Academy, which has proven to have a great impact. It was so needed. She felt that this was needed in her industry, thus the reason they created it. Her passion is still mentoring, learning and training, collaboration with other industry partners, speaking in workshops, and encouraging the industry to utilize their technicians while working to promote the equine veterinary technician profession. That's a mouthful, but her accomplishments are many, numerous. I can't wait to get her on the show so that we can start our conversation. She currently oversees the AAEVT Online Equine Certificate Academy. You know, I could go on and on. This bio is extensive, just like her accomplishments in the equine community. Rather than continuing, let's just bring her onto the show. I'm so happy to welcome to Unstall Your Practice, Deb Reeder. Deb, welcome.
Thanks so much, Cynthia. I'm honored and excited to be on this.
Well, Deb, I've known you for a long time. You've had an amazing presence in this industry. Tell us how it began.
Well, I was raised on a working cattle ranch. And, of course, we had horses. And one thing that kind of probably brought me towards this industry and profession back then when I was a young girl was I remember helping our veterinarian on the ranch pull a calf. And I was very intrigued and, was asking him questions and, kind of getting excited about it. And I said, well, I want to do what you're doing when I grow up. Then I went on again. I was, very intrigued. I approached the veterinarian, wanted to watch surgeries, and I got involved in embryo transfer with cattle. And I was just very intrigued by this whole medicine and taking care of horses. And through that, I brought my dog into my small animal vet. I had splinted him. He didn't put this splint where it was supposed to be at all. So I went, And at that point, he told me that there was this whole profession, veterinary technology, and that there was a career, in this. And there was actually a school that I could go to. And I was in my early 30s at the time, and I immediately jumped on that and went through veterinary technology school, got very involved in the Texas Association, became president of that 2 terms, and was also very involved in getting the term veterinary technician introduced into the Practice Act for the first time here in Texas. Going before the legislature, working with senators and legislators and, at the time, the TVMA, and got a lot of no's, more no's than I've probably heard in my entire life. And I knew around the corner would be yeses. And sure enough, we were successful and we got it in there. And I think that was just kind of the beginning of getting my toes wet in this industry and profession. And I loved it.
Well, you definitely have done a lot in the industry. You've made a tremendous impact. Everyone knows your name and everyone loves and respects you. You are the driving force behind AAEVT. Can you tell us what is AAEVT?
So that is a nonprofit member association that myself and a couple of others helped envision back in 2002, because we were tired of listening to talks during luncheons at continuing education meetings. We wanted more equine because that's all we did as veterinary technicians. We worked in equine practices. So we put on a continuing education event in Texas, and we actually had a couple of sponsors show up. And it was a great hit. We had, 25 people show up, and everyone loved it. We did lectures, and then we did wet labs, a vision for an association totally focused on the equine patient, the equine industry for veterinary technicians and assistants. So I went to the AAEP, which is our father association, the Association of Equine Practitioners, and talked with them about our thoughts. And they, pretty much said, okay, well, dig in and bring us, more information. So I sat down and figured out how to create and form a nonprofit, had absolutely no background in that at all. The AEP gave their blessing. And so we created a group of technicians to be on our organizing committee. There were 8 of us. We created bylaws, just everything that went into it. I started creating a list of those who would be interested just through my network, and because we didn't have social media then. And we had a group of 250 who wanted to be a part of this inaugural association. We met in Denver in 2004 and kicked it off. And the halls were full of technicians and assistants who were so excited. And as well, practitioners, equine practitioners were so excited. We filled a need and the bubble burst. And we've taken off since then. From 250, now I think we have about 1,300. We're not only in the United States, we're in Canada, and we're also in Europe and Africa and Australia and New Zealand. You know, we've done a great deal, yes, and it's always been, you know, serving our members and making us be the best association possible for not only our members, but to help provide for the employees of the equine practitioner.
You are the definition of a true pioneer. You saw a need and you created a solution. And if I do say so myself, you have over-delivered. You have created something you should be very proud of.
I definitely am. It's so rewarding when I have people come up to me throughout the years and, you know, at meetings or wherever, and they thank me. It's so rewarding. And I just feel very, very fulfilled through that. Somewhat of a bulldog at times. But I think, when you know you're right, when you know your vision is on track and it's true, there's just no derailing you. And that's, what's driven me. I knew that, our deliverables and our intentions and our initiatives were true and authentic and definitely on track.
Well, I am very blessed to be able to work with you now on a daily basis. Prior to this, we were just colleagues and industry professionals, and you and I share a passion, and that is supporting equine veterinarians. So I would love to ask you how you feel that the organization, the AAEVT, does that. How does that organization support equine veterinarians?
Well, we provide training and education and wet labs where they get hands-on experience. And we are trying to listen to practitioners as to what needs they feel their staff needs to learn more about, whether they be credentialed veterinary technicians or assistants, because our association is all inclusive. We also welcome students who are going through veterinary technology programs or those who are looking to venture into the equine industry practice, as well as practice managers and receptionists. So we try and provide that extra training, that extra education and resources for these people who are working in the equine practice. We understand that, veterinarians, although they want to train their staff to do it the way they want it done, so we feel we are that extra arm. I think the other part of this, what we do, is we offer recognition and respect for these people who work in these practices. We champion for them. I'm a huge champion for paying the credentialed veterinary technician what they're worth, and recognize the assistant who has, been a part of this team for a long time and, maybe hasn't gone the credentialed route. And that's another reason why we formed the AAEVT Online Certificate Academy, so that those people who, chose not to go the credentialed route for a myriad of reasons could take courses and training and wet labs and, gain the knowledge that they would need to be able to contribute in an equine practice. And it's not only for those assistants, it's even for students going through veterinary technology programs. It's for veterinary technicians to freshen their skill sets, to freshen their education. It's taken a while, but it's been fully embraced by the equine practitioners, and they recognize it as a career ladder now they can support and send their staff through and feel confident when they come out of there, they are going to have that extra knowledge. I think we are also just a support of the equine practitioner. You know, it's a collaboration. The horse needs all of us. You know, practitioners can't do it by themselves, and we as credentialed veterinary technicians and assistants can't do it by ourselves either. We need each other, and the horse depends on us, you know, be that resource for them as well. We also have a career website where, you know, people can post when they're looking for jobs, or practices can post when they are looking for, you know, employees. We created also this last year guidelines on the utilization of the credentialed veterinary technician. And this has been a tremendous resource, and I hope it takes wings and helps practices realize where they are not fully utilizing their staff, encourage them to become educated on what a credentialed veterinary technician is, the training and education they've gone through, and what they can do legally in that state. And that frees the veterinarian to practice at the top of their license. And they're not doing the mundane fecals and, you know, doing a callback on a simple appointment, or, you know, jogging a lame horse for another veterinarian to look at, or taking x-rays, and even to the extent of, you know, doing treatments, ICU, you know, surgery and assistance, anesthesia. These are all things that veterinary technicians can do and have been trained to do. When the practitioner works at the top of his or her license, it allows them to provide for the credentialed veterinary technician to work at the top of theirs. And that just builds a standard of care that, you know, can move us forward. And I think, you know, through all of that, that's a big resource I feel that we are for the equine practitioner.
Wow, Deb, I love everything that you said here. I just want to share that although I have been familiar with AAEVT for numerous years, I never knew the far-reaching extent. It services and serves veterinarians, techs, and clients as well, because wouldn't you say that using credentialed veterinarians also serves the clients?
Yes. And I don't want to be remiss about the assistants who are not credentialed, who haven't gone through formal training, because the majority of people who work for an equine practitioner are probably assistants. You know, they've been people who are horse people, which that's a huge part of this, is people who are familiar on how to handle horses, you know, have to have a different skill set than handling a dog and a cat. These are 1,200-pound flight or fight horse, you know, horse flesh. And you have to have a certain knack for handling horses and keeping people safe. And that's a huge skill. And that's a lot of reasons why practitioners, and I think, choose to, you know, utilize people who are very familiar around horses. The credentialed veterinary technician, however, has kind of set themselves apart because they've taken this on with a professional attitude. This is a career. They've, you know, devoted themselves to learning and training to the highest level that they possibly can. They've gone through a college program. There is a trust there that the person who is taking care of your $1 million horse or your daughter or son's, you know, favorite pony is devoted to giving the absolute best care. And if they don't know, they're going to go look it up, or they're going to go to a resource, or they're going to go to someone that they know this is their area of expertise. They've built a network. And I think assistants and credentialed veterinary technicians can certainly work together. They're part of the team. And I think that's where, you know, the client is best served. When you have, a team there, and as well communicate with that client and give them the best, service we possibly can as well.
That makes so much sense. Deb, you've been in this industry for numerous years, so I can only imagine the changes that you've seen. One of the hot topics in equine veterinary medicine right now is the shortage of equine veterinarians. How do you feel that the AAEVT and the credentialed vet techs and even the assistants, can they support the veterinarians who are in the industry that are struggling with lack of staffing currently?
Well, just as there is a decline in the number of equine interested students going through College of Veterinary Medicine, that translates to a decline in the credentialed technicians going through veterinary technology programs. And when there's a decline in the practitioners out there serving, there is going to be a decline of the staff that worked for them. And I think it's a lot of different factors. Equine practitioners have this sense of independence that I've never seen. It is burnout, letting go of the reins, so to speak, and truly trusting, that someone else can do it as well as they can do it. There's the old guard, quote unquote, of those practitioners who for years worked 7 days a week, sun up to sundown, were on call. All of their clients had their phone numbers. And that just could not sustain itself. There's a different generational thought process out there, or a lifestyle out there now that is not going to tolerate that work ethic any longer. I think also, the equine practice is stuck with being afraid of raising their fees enough to be sustainable and proactive. You have to be able to support not only yourself, but a thriving practice, and encouraging others to join you and sustain your staff. Technicians are leaving this profession, within 5 years. The majority either hang in there forever or they are hanging it up. And a lot of it is due to pay. They can't support themselves. They can't buy a new car. They can't buy a home. And there's always been this thought process, well, the veterinary technician is just an adjunct income because they're married. Well, that's not true. A lot of them aren't. And even so, if they are, that doesn't, a lot of people, there has to be two incomes to survive anymore. And so there's just been a dynamic here. And, I just think there's this shift to, well, I don't want to work emergencies. I don't want to be on call. I don't want to work after 5. I want to have a family. There's all these things. And I think that the equine practice just hasn't really wrapped themselves around being able to support that yet. We're moving in that direction. There's so many conversations out there and collaboration. And I think we're really trying to address that issue and, find solutions. And, sustainability is a huge topic with the AEP, and they involve us. We're involved in roundtables where we have these discussions. What does it take to keep staff? What does it take to attract staff? And we're going to have to put effort in there. You just can't put a sign up and people are going to show up anymore. You have to have an attractive culture that is going to be sustainable, that grows with your practice, that thrives, and where people feel nurtured and supported and empowered, and where, you look forward to showing up at work every day, your staff looks forward to showing up every day, and people want to come and work at that practice. That's what it's going to take. And I think we just have to have more resources and support out there and, truly listen to where the challenges are. And
your words are profound and you definitely speak truth. This is definitely a hot topic, and I've heard this reiterated numerous times. One of the things that you said in that comment was culture. I believe you said culture is everything, or culture is so important, and teams and relationships. And I think the equine industry is very much about relationships. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I've been in this industry now for over 40 years. And when I look back and look at my network of people, it amazes me. But that's what it's about, is building those relationships. And sure, I have burned bridges, but hopefully not forever. And, you come back around and you sit down with people and you just connect and you listen and you challenge each other and you stay curious and you bring authenticity to those conversations, and people get that. And I am so blessed to have been able to work in this industry. I have been able to, meet so many people. Thank you to the horse. So many people. I've been able to visit so many practices. I have been able to work in and contribute to a myriad of different practices. And I have learned. I continue to learn every day. I was thrilled with this whole ask to join the Business Infusions Cassadol team, because I saw where there was a need here to help these solo practitioners. And I want to be a part of that. I want to help contribute again in a different avenue. But these are my peeps. And, we have to support each other. And I feel like I can bring a different perspective being a credentialed veterinary technician to this, because, part of my other bandwagon I get on is medical records. And, I feel like that is one of the most important responsibilities for a technician or an assistant receptionist, practice manager, to support our veterinarians in making sure those medical records are contemporaneous. They are absolutely complete and factual, and that we know normals as well as abnormals. And we can say, yes, Your Honor, every single day. And we never try and do something we know in our heart we're not allowed to do or not skilled or trained to do. And I feel like we also, medical records are a way of communication, and, we just cannot surprise our clients anymore. They won't put up with it. They'll either go down the street or, go to Dr. Google. And we have to have compassion now more than ever for what our clients are going through. I think that's a huge part of what we do. Compassion and empathy, because if we put it out there, it will come back. It's like when you say thank you at the end of the day, you've not only helped that person understand that, wow, I was recognized for what I did, but you allow that person to be more free to share a thank you.
I just want to say, Deb, you've talked about your peeps, and I want to say that I am so honored to call you one of my peeps. And in this equine industry, I have found my friends, I have found my family, I found my husband in this industry,
yes,
as you know. But I'm so blessed that you are a part of my circle, that I get to work with you every day. It's truly been an honor. I sense your passion. I can feel it. It gives me chills talking to you, and I talk to you all the time. So this has been such a great conversation. I could probably talk to you for numerous more hours, and I would love to have you back on our show again so we could dive deeper into some of these topics. I would like to ask you if there was one good takeaway that an equine veterinarian or a technician listening to our episode here today could take away and immediately implement to improve their day, their practice, their work-life balance, what would that one takeaway be that you would hope after listening to our conversation today? What would that be?
Just one.
Yes, just one, even though we could probably come up with so many more.
I think what just came up for me was trust yourself and trust the staff that you have and empower them, whatever that looks like, to grow a culture that's going to be sustainable, a practice that's going to be sustainable. Utilize and leverage every way you can.
I love that. And I'm just going to ask you, while I've got you on speaker, will you come back? Will you do another episode in the future? Because I would love to have you commit to that.
Absolutely. I would be honored to do so. That's what we do. Give back.
That is what we do. And you do it very, very well. You're at the top of your game, Deb. So before we close out, tell the people listening, how can they find you? How can they connect with the AAEVT? Tell us what channels you're on and how we can find you.
So I am on Facebook, and it's Deborah Brooke with an E, Reeder. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can also find me at deb.reeder, Reeder, at businessinfusions.com. I am an advisor still for the AAEVT. And the AAEVT's website is aaevt.org.
Wonderful. Well, Deb, it has been a true pleasure, and I can't thank you enough for spending your evening with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia, for making it such a fun, engaging conversation.
Well, you're the best, so I could interview you all day long, and probably will tomorrow on a private call.
Awesome.
Well, I hope that everyone reaches out to connect with you, because you are such a valuable source of information, and you definitely serve. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you so much for spending your time with us here today on Unstall Your Practice.
Thank you.
I'm so excited that Deb was able to spend time with us here today. I don't know about you, but one of my greatest takeaways from this time spent with her today was that aside from the one thing that brings us all together, and of course that being the love and respect for the horse, is the relationships that we form in this industry. When we develop these relationships, they allow us all to work together. We respect each team member and what they're bringing to the table. And ultimately, that improves the health of the horse, and it improves our client relationships. It improves our relationships with each other. And to me, this transcends veterinary medicine. This is life. So much gratitude to Deb for reminding us all of this today. So that concludes today's episode, but it certainly doesn't conclude this podcast. I know I'm going to listen to Deb's episode again and again. How can we take away some of the gems that she brought to us today and start utilizing them in our everyday life right now? Doesn't cost a thing to implement some of these things. If you haven't listened to my pilot episode, I would love for you to go back and listen to that one as well, telling why I'm doing this. And ultimately, I'm doing this for you. I want you to be able to implement these changes into your practice to make your day better, that of your clients, that of your team, every day. Let's get started. So until next time, I'm Cynthia Bain, and on behalf of myself, my producer Frank, and the entire Business Infusions team, I thank you so very much for being here. And I'll see you again for another insightful episode of Unstall Your Practice. The Unstall Your Practice digital radio podcast is a broadcast wellness production powered by Business Infusion Software. Copyright 2024. All rights reserved. Executive producer Frank Sardella. For more information, visit businessinfusions.com.
You look at what you just did. My goodness.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's amazing. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready for you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.